Good afternoon. Welcome to the October 3rd, 2018 Lebanon Utility Service Board meeting. We have one board member absent today, Neil Taylor. Please join with me, rise and join with me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our September 19th, 2018 meeting.
I make a motion we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Jim, seconded by Bill to approve the September 19th minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is IMPA Commissioner Appointment, Resolution 2018-05, listed as an action item.
Mr. Chairman, as this board is aware, the City of Lebanon and Lebanon Utilities is a member of the Indiana Municipal Power Agency, known as IMPA. And with effective today, with Mike Whitman's retirement and the board's action at its last meeting appointing Trace Bowles as the interim general manager, that requires a new board representative on behalf of the City of Lebanon and Lebanon Utility Service Board with IMPA. Just as a point and information item, there is activity with IMPA that we will need a representative and we'll need this appointment to occur as soon as possible. So with that having been said, pursuant to this body's practice, if I may read Resolution 2018-05, a resolution appointing a new commissioner to the Indiana Municipal Power Agency, whereas the City of Lebanon, Indiana owns a utility service provider known as Lebanon Utilities, which is operated by the Lebanon Utility Service Board. Whereas the City of Lebanon, Indiana is a member of IMPA. Whereas Mike Whitman has been serving as a commissioner on the Board of Commissioners of IMPA and was appointed by this Lebanon Utility Service Board. And whereas Lebanon Utility Service Board has appointed Trace Bowles as the interim general manager. Now therefore be it resolved by the Lebanon Utility Service Board that Mike Whitman's term as commissioner on the Board of Commissioners of IMPA is hereby terminated. Section 2, Trace Bowles is hereby appointed as a commissioner on said Board of Commissioners of IMPA. Now therefore be it further resolved by the Lebanon Utility Service Board that a copy of this resolution with a corresponding ordinance be delivered to the mayor of the City of Lebanon for consideration by the Common Council. Adopted this day of 2018.
Thank you, Jeff. I have a motion on the resolution 2018-05.
I move to approve resolution 2018-05, appointing new commissioner to IMPA Municipal Power Agency.
I second that.
Motion made by Dan, seconded by Jim to approve resolution 2018-05. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. The next item is retirement plan analysis list.
Yes, in conjunction, Marie Marks is here as well, and I would defer to her. I'm happy to make some comments and some summary. I know that she's provided you a document today related to some of the pricing from Principal. That's actually the next item on the agenda, so we can handle it either way. Do you want to talk about the retirement plan a little bit first in the analysis? I know that you're not feeling the greatest, so however you want to handle it.
Yes, it's my understanding you may vote today on the defined benefit study. Is there anything that you guys need before you make that vote, that you still have questions on, or do you feel like you understand it enough to proceed with what you want to do today?
I think we're okay on
Questions that anyone has?
I think that we've
I think we've hashed it out.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I think that maybe reviewing what we have.
So, thank you, Marie. So from us, the board has, in the Finance Committee, has somewhat asked me to give a summary of where we are, where we've been, and how we got here. Marie, please jump in and think of anything that we need to add here. But we have, a couple of years ago, the IRS mortality table changed, which caused a $7 million liability related to the retirement plan. And that resulted in the board moving forward with an analysis of the defined contribution and defined benefit plans and needing to analyze where things were financially. The first stage of that was for the board to initiate a soft freeze for all new hires, and that is in effect. Additionally, another item that has come out of the analysis is the board's commitment to attempt to fully fund the defined benefit plan within 7 years. Additionally, the board has indicated it wishes to overfund the requirement on an annual basis, and it is making approximately $450,000 contribution to the defined benefit plan each year. And I believe what the board has, as a result of the analysis and the working sessions, wants to make actually no change to the current plan. And that's what was referred to in the working sessions as option A. So, Dan, is there anything that you'd like to add to the analysis?
Yeah, number one, I want to thank everybody for all the hard work that they put into this very confusing subject. We got to the deficiencies that we dealt with as a result of a huge change in the mortality rates. IRS levied that, and we've taken a position and dedicated course to make this whole in 7 years, is what I'm trying to say. If we see that deviating, it doesn't mean that other actions might not need to be taken. This is, if we can stay steady to the course, then we're dedicated to a direct benefit plan. If we see that we're not going to be able to keep our promises, if we can't keep that plan healthy, then we'll have to take evasive action. So I just want to make sure and go on record in that this is not a promise that this is a forever agreement, that there may have to be additional corrections made as the situation changes as we address it. So that's the primary thing that I think that we needed to bring up on that.
Yeah, the other item that was kind of an open item from the working session in my notes was whether or not the board was going to allow for a lump sum distribution, or whether or not they would allow someone to convert the defined benefit plan into the DC plan voluntarily. If I heard the board correctly in some of the discussions, for the liability exposure to the utility and the financial health of the plan, you wanted to avoid both of those. So that having been said, hearing the board, hearing Dan's comments, what I gleaned from the working sessions, and I think Marie and Principal have put together, is the board's recommendation to make no plan, or option A out of the working sessions, make no changes to the defined benefit plan or the defined contribution retirement plan. That means that the soft freeze for new hires remains in effect. So Marie and I have looked at the plan documents and believe that means that there's literally nothing that needs to be done relative to our DB and DC plan documentation. That having been said, my recommendation to the board, given all of the discussion and to kind of close this issue, would be that for the time being, that the board reaffirm its plan documents and that they are left as is.
Okay. other questions? I'd just like to reiterate what Dan says. Thank you very much for all your time that we spent in working sessions. And
Right.
Bill, I know, spent enormous amount of time too with this project. So with that, I guess, unless there's further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we move to reaffirm the current Lebanon Utility Defined Benefit and Defined Contribution Retirement Plan with no changes to the current retirement plan documents.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Dan to continue with our current retirement plan. Any comments from the audience before the vote? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you very much.
We have, did you want me to go through this other item?
Yes.
Yeah, principal
Okay.
pricing update,
So-
which is the next item, yeah.
With a lot of what was going on recently with principal, with the decision or the assumption they made on the plan document in January, they added some people that were not supposed to be carved in, or carved out, I should say, immediately. In the DB plan, those participants still will fall under the DB plan, but they also got this special benefit, which we've talked about in some of our other meetings. Also, there's another rule. The Department of Labor came out and said that they are no longer going to give an opinion letter for a plan document because you are non-ERISA. Your plan document had an opinion letter. This is across the board for everybody. This is not a principal rule. The Department of Labor is now re-looking at that because your plan document really is not unique. Usually an opinion letter is written when you have all kinds of language that is above and beyond the standard language in a document, which is usually what happens. So they may make a change or come back out and say that they will then host your plan document. But as of January 1st, you have to have someone else look and hold your plan document, make sure it's correct. Principal and I will also kind of oversee that when we have rules and stuff that change. But in light of some of this, I went back as your advocate and I told principal that I felt they needed to look at pricing. If they were doing the plan document before and no longer are doing that, then I felt that they should maybe give you some kind of compensation for that or cut some of your fees. So they did come back and said that they would do that. They have agreed to drop your fees from $54,174 to $45,900, which is a $8,617 correction or reduction every year. The board does have to approve it because it is a fee change. Anytime you make any change to a fee, you have to have an approval and an acceptance that you accept it. There is no reason you should not accept it. There's no strings attached. It's just their good faith will to say, we understand, we want you to be our client, and we want to show you that we're committed to working with you.
Is that something that we have to vote on?
It is not. Sandra is a signatory on the account, which we'll talk about here in a second, or a signatory on behalf of the plan, and she would just email acknowledging that reduction.
Okay.
So no, there's no motion needed, but I do think it's worth noting that that Marie was instrumental in getting this reduction. The way the contract reads and the pricing, it doesn't really carve out document preparation in a fee, and I think just given the totality of the circumstances with our analysis over the last year, Marie was instrumental in carving this out for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Marie.
Do I need to be part of the signature thing too?
No, thank
Okay.
you. Thank you, though.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is General Manager Search Update, listed as an information item. Jim?
And actually, we skipped one.
No, they're reversed.
The number 7.
Seven's retirement.
Yeah, but it's 7 and 8's turned around.
Green number 7.
Yeah, GM Search Update.
No, that's 8.
It's a different agenda?
Must be.
I think the back,
Yep, they are. They are reversed. The action
And it's-
items and the search are different. Sorry about
yeah,
that.
there.
Okay, either way, on the agenda, 7 is GM search update. So Safari Solutions has continued to provide me with weekly updates on the GM search. To date, there are, they have, as part of that process, Safari Solutions is through what they would call, part of the way through stage 2 of its search, and that's probably in the $10,000 to $11,000 range of expenditure. They have reviewed, or excuse me, received and reviewed 175 resumes. And they have sent out of that 14 pre-screens. And that is a series of questions, just summarizing kind of what your thoughts are on the position, and those are email responses that candidates send back. There are 10 pre-screens that have been carved out by Safari Solutions, and of those 10, they're in the process of conducting phone interviews. 5 have been completed and 5 are scheduled. So that's bringing Safari Solutions and just keeping track of time. They have about 71 hours in that search process so far. So that's where we are in a process. What I believe that they will do next is they will make recommendations from the phone interviews to in-person interviews with the personnel committee, and then the personnel committee will take some steps to interview and take whatever steps they need to take to make a recommendation to the full board. So that's where we are from a process standpoint. I would anticipate early to mid next week the phone interviews will have been completed, and the search will be narrowed.
So when do you think that will go to the personnel committee?
I would imagine they will have some names narrowed. I've kind of been a little bit of the tip of the spear just in terms of processing paperwork and being a liaison to the personnel committee. So I would imagine that she will get me a list of names that I will just simply forward on to the personnel committee, and that we'll begin the interview process in 2 weeks would be my guess.
2 weeks? Okay.
But that's based upon they have been moving very quickly, and that's just my feel. Any other questions for me?
Okay, thank you very much, Jeff. Okay, item 8 I have is retirement plan review regarding document prep, listed as an information item.
So I wanted to get a little direction from the board. I believe the Finance Committee may have given me some direction, and I believe that this would fall under their purview. But if you will recall, because of the change with the IRS requiring principal to no longer sign off on non-ERISA plans, as Marie was just explaining, we are then have to go out of house to have document preparation done. The last board meeting, you approved a law firm, Ogletree Deakins, to perform that review. The question, I just am informally wanting some direction from the board as to whether or not we want to continue to have the board, have Ogletree do some general review of our documentation, our plan documents, to make sure that they fall in line. The question is, are we comfortable with where we are in the direction and advice we've gotten to date, or do we want to have some high-level review done by a third party? I requested from Ogletree last week when this issue came up a general price, and I have not received that back from them yet.
Do we have a reason to believe that there are problems in our present documents?
I would not say that there are problems in the present, in the document, and I might look to Sandra a little bit. I know that there is a gray area in terms of the issue we had between the 17 hires and the 18 hires, and we had to look to the history of what we had done with the plan. I think that's some language that could be cleaned up. You know, there's nothing that makes me say that I'm not confident in the documents as to whether or not we want to have some of those issues just double checked.
Yeah, and one of the things that I had forgotten when we had talked, and I think it's probably important to note here, is I'd have to go back and look, but I want to say 7 or 8 years ago, the IRS did audit our plan. So I had to go back through 20, 30 years worth of records and make sure we had everything. And we did get a clean opinion on that. Our only question we had was, like he said, there's been a couple of mistakes they've made lately, but they have cleaned those up. And I don't think it was a mistake in the document. It was just the way they interpreted it. So I don't have any reason to believe there's anything significantly or anything wrong at all. And I'm sorry that I did forget to mention that, Jeff, but we did get a favorable determination back from the IRS on that.
Good point. So,
Yeah.
so as whether there's been any changes, I have looked them over. This is a deeper area of the pool that I'm really comfortable in venturing into and saying, I think that these are compliant. The issue that came to my mind is we have a contract approved and it's set up, and I've asked for a price on it and haven't gotten it back. So I'm happy to this isn't an action. I'm happy to hold it, get a price, and come back. I'm also happy to shelve it and say, you know, in another year, we're going to be, every 2 years, 3 years, you have to review the document, so, and revise them. So we may be mandated here in a couple of years anyway. So I was just looking for some informal direction from the board.
Well, why don't we get some pricing and let's see what it is? That's what I'd recommend.
Fair
and
enough.
We'll look at it.
Yeah, I was disappointed I didn't have a number back, and I
Okay.
tried to get that today, so, okay, I'll bring that back.
Okay.
The pricing is reasonable, it may be something we want to
Well,
consider.
yeah, I would think so.
One other item with regard to our plan documents that I just want to make the board aware of that's been kind of an oddity is that we don't, inherent in the GM position, the way we have historically treated that is that they have the authority to be a signatory on the retirement plan documents. Meaning if Sandra were not available, that would fall to Trace. And I just wanted to have the discussion. We could not find anywhere that we've ever historically made a motion, approved a resolution, or anything like that that has made that authorization. So unless there's some objection, as a matter of course, by removing Mike as the general manager, accepting his retirement, and then making Trace the interim general manager, that would inherently put him in a position and Sandra remain as a signatory on the documents. I just wanted to talk through that analysis with everyone and make sure that everyone was comfortable with that. That's the history of how we've done that, and that change would become effective with the board's action last meeting, appointing Trace.
I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it. It's fine.
Sandra, does that match kind of the way you're thinking on it?
It does, and you know, just so everybody understands, that signature authority doesn't mean we can change documents or anything like that. All that really means is when somebody retires, so here in about 4 or 5 weeks, when all of Mike's stuff comes in, we put the forms together, we sign off that he really did retire. So that's really all that's for, or something like this, the fee reduction, hey, they want somebody to say, yes, we had it. So
Okay.
no document changes, all that has to come through the board. This is just the daily operation so that they have somebody on site that signs that stuff.
Sounds good.
All right.
Fine.
Thank you, board.
Thank you for your confidence.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is approval of claims.
I make a motion, we approve the claims.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Jim to approve the claims. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Other business, board members have anything else to bring up? Interim General Manager Trace Bowles?
Well, I'll say thank you very much for your confidence in my abilities to serve in this capacity. As you all know, I will do my best for our community, for the board, for our employees.
We appreciate that, and we know you're very confident and willing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, opportunity for public comment. Anyone in the audience have any comments? Seeing none, our next board meeting is scheduled for October 17th at 5 p.m. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Dan, seconded by Jim to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you very much and have a good evening.